Time to take a look at Disney Pixar This or That, Monsters Inc. or Toy Story.
I was on TV!
This isn't flying, this is falling with style.
I mean, both of these movies are childhood for me, both of them. I grew up with Monsters Inc., watched that until the death, and we had to replace that DVD several fucking times because the amount of times me and my brother used to sit and watch this film. And that can also be said with Toy Story. We went through several copies. This is like a coin flip almost on which one to pick, but I would say there would be no Disney Pixar without Toy Story. That might be a little bit of a cop-out, but I still think that Disney Pixar wouldn't be what it is today, and certainly what it wouldn't have been in 2001 when Monsters Inc. came out, without the money and the funding that Toy Story gave it, and the background that Toy Story managed to build up with the fans and with the audience in that time when Monsters Inc. was created. So I would have to go with Toy Story. The Incredibles or Finding Nemo.
My home, buddy. I work alone.
Don't touch the Nemo!
I mean, both of these films are iconic, early thousands Disney Pixar and animation movies in general. For me, I always preferred Incredibles, but both of these two were childhood as well. Both of these were nostalgia personified, but I feel a lot more nostalgia coming from The Incredibles because I used to remember that beginning part where Mr. Incredible is doing that interview at the beginning over and over again, because this, just like Monsters Inc. and Toy Story, was one that we watched on repeat. Finding Nemo, we went through a little bit of a phase of watching through that one, but for me, I don't know, I always feel like, I don't know if it's because I enjoy superhero movies more now, and maybe that's the reason why I love superhero movies, because they're Incredibles, but I just feel more nostalgia and I feel a bigger hit when watching Incredibles. It might just be because there's a big villain, whereas there isn't really a big villain in Finding Nemo. There's a lot more at stake in The Incredibles, so I'd have to go with The Incredibles. Coco or Soul?
Remember me.
I want to die. Somebody call the ambulance.
For me, I don't have that same nostalgia with any of these films like the ones that we mentioned earlier. Because the thing is with Coco and Soul, they were after the point where I really stopped watching Disney movies for like being a kid, and they were the only movies that you could really watch. Because obviously you weren't allowed to watch the films like American Pie, because that would have been pretty fucking weird.
This one time, at band camp, I stuck a flute in my pussy.
I always gravitate more to Coco in this situation. I'll tell you why. Because Coco, for me, is easy for kids to understand. It makes quite an entertaining way of explaining what the Day of the Dead is. Similar to The Book of Life, which is the same sort of thing. Whereas Soul doesn't quite hit the same because it confuses what life after death is and confuses this idea of a soul and stuff like that. And it's not the kind of stuff I personally would like in kids' movies because it goes into stuff that doesn't really work. Yeah, kids should understand certain elements of death, but this, for me, doesn't feel like a kids' film. Let us know down in the comments down below. But for me, I think Coco's got a better story. Hits different. It's all about that remembering of and keeping the memory of whoever dies alive. And that idea is a way to like cope with grief and stuff. So I think I'd rather watch Coco all day long. And Soul's never been my cup of tea. But do let us know down in the comments down below which side of the fence you sit on. But for me, it is Coco. A Bug's Life or A Good Dinosaur?
Alright, that's it! Everybody!
I'll take care of the critter, Papa. It won't stand a chance.
I mean, this one for me is not that hard because I've never been a fan of A Bug's Life. Never took to it. Don't know what it is about it. Doesn't really feel like my sort of thing. Not gonna lie. Whereas A Good Dinosaur, I think it is a weaker movie compared to like a Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Monsters University. Any of the other Pixar ones that are big names are probably better than this film. Not gonna lie. But I do think this movie is entertaining. I do think that this movie is boring in places, but I think it gets by with that grief and that thing of moving on from somebody after they've died, so to speak. And I think it's really got some legs to it. I think that they really show like dinosaurs from a different point of view, from being these big scary T-Rexes, and we get this sort of lovable, what's called Argo. I think it's a different sort of situation that you get with A Good Dinosaur. But A Bug's Life, never been a fan. So obviously it's clear as day which one I'm going to pick. But it's A Good Dinosaur all day long. Before we carry on though, do us a favour, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, that would be much appreciated in helping this small channel grow, as this is the clip shout to our main channel. If you haven't checked out our main channel, the link for that should be down in the description. Onward or up?
Working hard or hardly working?
That doesn't even rhyme.
Yeah, it does.
Speaking of that grief sort of storyline, this seems to be up Disney's alley in recent years, because this is what this is. Onward suffers with the grief of a parent dying and not being able to spend that time and remembering that time that he had as a kid with him, and wants a day where he can bring him back alive, and the whole adventure is to try to bring him back alive. Up is a little bit similar. His wife dies at the beginning of the film and then tries to go on this massive venture, going to Paradise Falls after being treated like shit through not wanting to talk to anybody, wants to be left alone, and keeps getting mithered by construction workers wanting to move away from his house so they can knock it down so they can make other sort of stuff in that area. But I think that this sort of stuff is a good sort of comparison, because both of them cover with grief in their own kind of ways. He covers with it going on an adventure. They also cover it going on an adventure. I think what I would say is Onward is very underrated. However, I think Up wins on this occasion, because Onward might be underrated, but Up is always going to be better, because the grief and the emotional roller coaster that you go on in that particular film is hard to replicate through many of the Pixar movies. Up is one of the greatest Disney movies of all time, because it manages to capture that emotion, because it's such a sad film at the beginning, but then it ends up turning into a different kind of film, and it always keeps it going like up and down in terms of troughs, but you're always engaged throughout the entirety of the film. And to me, Up wins all day long. Let us know down in the comments down below if you agree with our this or that picks, or would you pick the options that we didn't pick? Let us know down those comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, that would be much appreciated. And if you haven't checked out our this or that animation movies, right now you can click on that on this page.